Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at Givenchy Spring for 2025. And I have to say, the packaging on this is so much prettier in person than I thought it was going to be online. You know, you really don't see the dimension. This is fabric. It's that, I don't even know what type of fabric it is. It's that like sparkly, not a tulle fabric, but kind of like that. You know, it's like that stiffer, shimmery fabric, and it like catches the light. You can see it's like ribbed here, and yeah, absolutely stunning. So it looks so much prettier in person. It is fabric though, so it could get messy. So just something to note there. But this is gorgeous. Now there's an eyeshadow palette that's part of the collection that we have not seen here in the US, but I did pick up the other items. So we have the highlighter, we have 2 of the Rose Perfecto lip balms, and we also have 2 new color correctors. So I actually picked these up less so for color correcting and more for subtle highlight. So I'm going to show you what they look like as a base to, underneath your foundation as well as on top. And let's go ahead. Let's start off with these skin correctors. So these are the 2 new skin correctors. So we have the same packaging as the concealer. They have some other skin correctors in their permanent lineup, and we will take a look at them. There's a green, a blue, and then there's also a peach. I did pass the peach on to a friend because it was just too dark for me. So the 2 new shades are technically limited edition. So we have pink, and this one is intended to brighten your skin tone and just add a little brightening. And I love pink correctors to mix in with concealers. That's typically what I'll use a pink corrector for, but I also wanted to see how this one would work as a subtle highlight. And you can see it's a really nice pink here without glitter. It's not glittery. We do have a little bit of a sheen to it, but I wouldn't say it's a glittery sheen. It's a bit more of a satin sheen. And then the other one here is lavender. And the lavender, lavender is technically a blue-based purple, and that's exactly what we have here. And I think one of the reasons they made this is their blue color corrector, which we'll look at in a few minutes. That one, I don't think that one, was as successful as it could have been. And I think this is a better alternative to it. So this is the pink and the lavender. Let's look at these on the skin. The Givenchy Prism Libre Skin Caring Correctors have 11 milliliters of product, and these retail for $39 US. They're made in France with a 6-month shelf life. Now I have to say, I think the 6-month shelf life is really more so due to the fact that these are often used near the eyes. So they're going to have the same shelf life as a typical concealer. But my other ones are older and have not had any issues over time. So we have the pink, which I'm putting on my right side, and I have nothing else on my skin as I'm using this as a base, and then we're going to top it off with the foundation. So you can see what it does under the eye for a little brightening, and you can see what it also does on the cheek for more of a subtle highlight. So as I mentioned, the pink is for toning up your complexion and brightening it, whereas our lavender is meant to correct yellowness in the skin. So that can help depending on what your dark circles look like under the eye. Like sometimes I get those that look a little bit more bruise-like with a little bit more yellow, and that can really help balance that out. But otherwise, the lavender is really good for specific skin tones that have a little bit more yellow in them. So according to Givenchy, these are inspired by the fresh and vibrant tones of the season. The first in Givenchy's makeup line, we have a multi-purpose color corrector that conceals and balances skin tone while providing 24-hour hydration with 95% natural ingredients and a 90% skincare base. So we have 2 new shades in the vibrant tones of this season. So as I mentioned, we do have other shades in the permanent line. We have green, which is used to correct redness, and we have peach for dark circle neutralizer. For me, that one was just a little bit too deep. It's definitely a strong peach. And then we have the blue, which was a radiance booster, and that was for a bit of brightening. Now our pink one is supposed to brighten dull and tired looking skin, while the lavender is supposed to neutralize yellow undertones to revive dull complexions. Skin imperfections and color irregularities are corrected for an even, luminous complexion. Now, unfortunately, both of these shades are marked as limited edition, so I wish they were part of the permanent line. I actually really like these shades. I think they do provide some luminosity as a very subtle highlight. So if you're looking for a very soft lavender sheen, just for a little bit of brightness there without, you know, a sparkly glittery mess or even like a duochrome finish, I think this is actually a really nice option for it. It dries down to more of a satin matte finish, so you have a little bit of light reflection from that, but it does set down and, you know, it doesn't look shimmery. So I think it's really pretty. Both the pink and the purple work nicely for that. However, on my complexion, I have a lot of pink in my skin tone or in my overtones. So the pink kind of, it looks a little bit more matte on my skin than the lavender, and it blends in a little bit more. So the pink isn't as effective for me as a subtle highlight as the lavender is. The pink one I will probably use to mix in with certain concealers and so forth. I have some concealers that are a shade too dark, and that's typically what I like these pink, correctors for. And the lavender, though, I do really like that as a subtle highlight, or even just a base, mix it in with a cream blush and so forth as well. So I think it's also something that can be used to cool off certain liquid blushes or cream blushes that might be a little bit warmer and so forth. So let me know what you think, but I think they are very pretty. Let's take a look at the other correctors I have. So here you can see, as they've dried, you can see our pink looks a little bit more matte. The lavender has a little bit more sheen to it. I don't actually see any micro glitter in it, but it has light reflection like you might expect from that. This is our blue corrector, and I'm gonna put this one right below it, and you can see the shade of blue is a little different. It's more of a sky blue. And I think it's a really pretty shade, but honestly, I don't really use this one. It is a pretty luminous though, like the lavender. So if you can see these up close, you can see a tiny little bit. I don't even want to call it micro glitter, but you do have a little bit more like sparkle or sheen in the blue than you do in the lavender. But I still feel like, even though I can't really see any particles in the lavender, there's probably a little something there that's not in the pink one. And then we have our green corrector, which the green is a great shade for me, but it does sheer out a lot. And this is the green. So this one I'll use on my face sometimes to help correct redness. I think it's a nice shade, but it does have a little bit of luminosity to it as well. So actually, out of the 4 correctors that I have here, the pink one is the most matte. I would say that the blue and the green are a bit more radiant, and the lavender is a little bit less radiant than those, but there's still a little bit of a sheen with that. And while we're looking at these, let's just take a look at the Dior Glow Maximizer in Lilac that came out. This one is glittery. You can see it through the bottle, but you can also see this shade of lilac, you know, it's gonna be more of a pinky purple, but you can see that this, which is technically a highlighter, is going to be a glittery product. So you can see the difference in the finish between the two of those. Let's go ahead and move on to the highlighter. So this is their loose powder highlighter. We have shade 15, and you'll see it in the demo. It does come with a little puff. This is the actual shade here. So we have 2 different shades. So we have kind of a deeper coral and more of a pale pink. And let me just go ahead and swatch this. So this is what it looks like in the pan. We'll see a close-up of this in just a minute when we look at the skin. But when you mix these 2 shades together, you get a really pretty coral shade. I did burn my arm, so my skin's a little peely here. And that's what it looks like buffed out. I think this is such a beautiful coral shade. Actually, I have on my cheeks right now, I just have the highlight plus the the skin correctors underneath, but just the highlight, and it adds a little bit of color. You know, it's enough for like a soft blush even on my complexion. So let's take a look at this on the skin. Now, I personally love the way the square packaging looks, but I do always have issues putting the cap on. It's kind of a little bit of a pain in the butt, in my opinion. So our Prism Libra highlighter, this is a limited edition. We have two colors, which are a combination of a pearly pink highlighter and a radiant coral highlighter for a luminous adjustable finish. It retails for $47 US. And this is going to be made in Italy with a 1-year shelf life. According to Givenchy, the pack's sparkling pink tones are a nod to the fascinating facet of this collection. For this occasion, Prism Libra highlighter encapsulates a new limited edition harmony of loose powder with a sparkling finish for a fresh and radiant complexion. With its soft, airy texture, this breath of iridescent light instantly enhances complexion with a multi-dimensional glow. Applied with its integrated puff, the loose powder fuses with the skin to magnify and sculpt the complexion by playing on points of light without any material effect. Endlessly buildable, it creates discreetly luminous natural looks, shining with sophistication and self-confidence. A real must-have, it comes in a limited edition couture case and convenient for touch-ups throughout the day. I have to say, I really like the highlighter. I think it's a beautiful shade. I love the way it looks on the skin. You are going to have some glitter or shimmer in this, but it is very fine. And you can see in the demo, I used the Refer 20 fan brush, which gives you a really light, soft application. And then I went in with the Sonia G TF3 on my left side, so you could really see what it looks like when you build it up. And I think it, you know, on fair complexions, this can work as a blush. For other people, it works as a beautiful blush accent or a highlighter, and I think it's a really pretty shade. Let's take a look at a few comparisons. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with the Holiday highlighter. This was number 14, and I personally really like this one. I use this one a lot right now. Just go ahead and put this here. You can see this is gonna be a little bit more of a peachy pink champagne shade. Very different from this coral. I have to say the coral, it really screams summer to me, actually. Spring, summer. I think it's really nice and fresh. And then we have 13. I think this was spring last year. And this one actually combines two different shades. It's kind of, we have more of like a golden champagne that's a little bit deeper and a deeper pink. And it makes a bit more of a golden pink hue. You can see it's going to be a bit cooler in tone than our new coral here. It's also just a little bit less shimmery than the new one, number 15, or the Holiday, number 14. And then we have number 11 here, and this was from 2 years ago. And this is going to be two different shades of pink, and it makes a really beautiful pink shade here, like a pearly cool pink. I love this color. And then we also have number 10, which is labeled as Organza Ore. This one here, I have to say, I don't really use this one much. I'm probably going to pass this one on to a friend at this point. This is a deeper gold. This was a highlighter for one of the holidays a couple of years back. And you can see it's super shimmery. It's probably a bit more shimmery than any of the others. Probably closest in the amount of sparkle to number 14 from this year's Holiday. Whereas number 15, number 13, and number 11 are going to be a little bit less shimmery. With, I would say that number 11 here and 15 are probably about the same amount of shimmer. So you can see that this one here, though, number 10, is more of a warm gold. And then I just also wanted to swatch this Dior Backstage palette from this holiday. We're going to swatch the coral shade and the pink shade. I'm just going to put them right up here so you can see how they compare. It's going to be a little bit closer to the pink. It's kind of like a mix, but we do have a slightly different finish for each of the highlighters in this Backstage palette. So the peach shade is a little bit less luminous than the pink. It's also a little lighter. Let's do another layer of that. You can see this has a little bit more yellow in it. So not really a true coral. So if we mix the two of those, let's see what that looks like. All right, so here they are mixed. And you can see when you mix them together, it's a pretty close shade to the new Givenchy number 15. So I hope these were helpful. One more time, up here we have Dior Backstage from the holiday collection. Then this is the new Givenchy highlighter in 15, 14, 13, 11, and 10. And one more time, just a look at our color correctors as they have dried a bit more. We have our pink, our lavender, the green, and the blue. And you can see the difference in luminosities as they have dried. Our pink is definitely going to be the most matte, followed by the lavender, whereas the green and the blue both have a little bit of shimmer, perhaps even the tiniest bit of micro glitter in there. And then again, this shade here on the side is the Lilac Glow Maximizer from Dior. Let's go ahead and take a look at the lip products. So the Givenchy Rose Perfecto lip balms, these are some of my favorites. So I do have quite a few of these, and I couldn't resist the new shades, and the packaging on this, again, is stunning. So our new one here, 107, this is going to be like an everyday shade for me. It's going straight in my handbag. And you can see that this is going to be a little bit more of a soft rosy nude shade. And if you're not familiar with these, they are marbled, and I love the appearance of the marble. It doesn't make a huge difference in the color or anything, but supposedly, you know, you're marbling some of those skincare ingredients with that. And then we have shade 230, which is what's on my lips right now. And this is going to be more of a soft coral, and it goes very nicely with the highlighter. So these are the two new shades. Let's look at these on the lips. Both of these lip balms are limited edition. We have 2.8 grams of product in each, and these are going to be made in France. Shade 107 is described as an iridescent nude, a cold nudie pink with subtle silver. And you can see that both of these shades do have just a touch of shimmer to them. And then 230 is described as a sparkling coral, a radiant coral pink with subtle golden glitters. So both of them do have a touch of shimmer. I think honestly, I really like both of these shades personally. The Rose Perfecto lip balms are intended to hydrate, plump, and care for your lips while supplementing them with a radiant finish. Some of the key ingredients include rose oil, hyaluronic acid, vitamin C, pink pepper extract, and shea butter. And these are going to be a lip balm that has a little bit more of a waxier texture to them. So, you know, it's a little bit more of a firmer lip balm. It's not super soft and melty. Personally, I really love the new shades that were added. I love these lip balms because they are it's a formula that I reach for a lot. So I always have one of these with me. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few comparisons. So this is the new 107. And I want to compare it with this one here, which is from last year's spring collection. It's number 204. So you can see that they look fairly similar in the tube. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So this is going to be 204 here. And you can see it's going to be a little bit deeper, and it's rosier as well. So this is going to be a bit more of a rose shade. We've got a little bit more of a nude tone in the new 107. I have to say I love the 204, and this is the packaging it comes in, and they do still have some available on the Givenchy website if you're looking for that. All right, so new 107 along with one in the permanent line. You can see this one's gonna be more nude. This is 110. This is my closest shade in the permanent line, so I wanted to go ahead and compare those. And 110 is one that I use quite a bit. So let's put this one, I'll put this one right up here. So here's the 110. You can see it's definitely a bit warmer, more nude. This is 107. This is 204. Now for 230, I actually don't have a shade like 230 yet. 230 is this one here. That's going to be more coral. But this was the other shade that came out in last year's spring collection. This is 308. So I figured let's go ahead. We'll put this here. This is going to be more of a cool tone reddish, like a red raspberry. 230 here. And this is 525. Which was a limited edition shade a couple years back. So I'll put that one right here. And this is my closest color-wise that I have to the new 230. But you can see that this is going to be cooler and rosier. All right, so I hope these were helpful. Again, we have the 107 and 230, which are 2 new limited edition shades. So just a quick summary of what we talked about today. We started off with the new Givenchy skin correctors, and I have to say I do like them. So the pink one is one that I plan on using mixed in with concealer for a little bit of added brightening. And I'll probably actually do just a mix on my hand most of the time instead of how I did today where I put it as a base and then put the concealer on top. I like to kind of mix those in. So I think it has a nice finish to it and it does add some brightening. But my favorite here is the lavender, which I do like to use as a subtle highlight. And I plan on using it for that purpose as well as for mixing it in to cool off some blushes, some liquid blushes that are perhaps not quite the right shade. And it does have a little bit more of a sheen than the pink one does, but it's not glittery. And then we took a look at the new highlighter, which is a gorgeous coral highlighter. It screams summer. You could build this up enough for a glittery blush, but I think it works really nice as an accent to your blush, and it's a gorgeous color. So very happy with that. And I love the 2 new Rose Perfecto lip balms, which I find to be a very comfortable, more waxy style formula. Now there is fragrance in the lip balms. It's a soft floral fragrance. And when I put the lip balm on, I do feel a little bit of a cooling texture like you would with mint, but I don't feel the tingling that you get with a mint lip balm. So I don't see mint listed in the ingredients. I might have missed it, but you do get, it feels a little cooling. So just something to note there. Again, it's not tingling though at all. So thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know your thoughts on these products. I really hope we are able to get the eyeshadow palette here in the US. I am keeping an eye out for that. So definitely follow my posts and everything on the community tab if you're interested in that as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll see you very soon.